Good afternoon from Ho Chi Minh City, September 14, almost the day 10 years ago, Lehman Brothers imploded, as you know. For those of you who were in financial markets involved in one way or another, you remember that day. Some people have made money or lost money. So what have we learned from these 10 years? Quite a few things. We've learned that markets are still volatile, that central banks have power to print money, keep interest rates low, and so on. So now we know that we're in a different system where central banks have to kind of reverse their position by basically trying to shrink their balance sheets. The Fed has already started. Now we're waiting for the next big bank to do something, which would be the European Central Bank. Mr. Draghi this week didn't mention anything new about that. We know that the ECB will start reducing its balance sheet in 2019. The market didn't expect much from his speech yesterday, but obviously we know what to expect. It will be in 2019. So as a result, the euro rallied a little bit. We hit 117 on Thursday, Friday morning. We expect the euro to stay quite bid, and I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to 120 before the end of the year. So let's stay on the subject of currencies for a minute. As you all know, currencies in emerging markets have been very volatile of late, to say the least. And yesterday, again, we had a monetary policy meeting in Turkey, and the central bank raised its repo rate to 24% to try to stem the decline of the lira. The market already had anticipated that because the lira has been fairly stable in the last week or so. But I'm not sure it's the end of the road for the lira because the structural problems in Turkey and the geopolitics in that region. In Asia, we've been a bit more fortunate in terms of currencies versus the dollar. The Indian rupee has lost about 11–12% so far year to date. The Indonesian rupee about 10%. But most other currencies have been fairly stable, including here in Vietnam, where the dong has barely lost 3% so far year to date. So it's been quite a good thing for Asia. It's mostly emerging market currencies in Latin America that have been affected, and as I said, in Turkey. South African rand has been very weak as well, but it's not new because the contagion usually starts in the weakest link. And South Africa, unfortunately, has a poor fundamental macros right now. Obviously, in this sort of context, emerging market equities are affected as well by weaknesses in their own currencies. But I would say it's not that bad in Asia so far this year. I mean, the worst market being obviously China, A-share market, which is down 22%, but the rest of Asia is holding fairly well. Vietnam, the markets basically come back to where it was 8–10 months ago. So after the sudden drop in February to April period has gained back some of that. We think that it's possible that we have a good year-end rally, not just in Vietnam, but globally. 2019 will probably be a bit more difficult. So this is a longer-term projection, but we'll talk about it again next week. Enjoy your weekend from Ho Chi Minh City.